Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Minimalist Methods. We have a special guest today, Aleric Heck, and he's helped his clients make multiple eight figures on YouTube with YouTube ads with his special 3D targeting methods. And also, we're going to talk about some cool things today that they're doing right now that he hasn't quite shared with a lot of people yet. So I'm honored and excited to talk about some of his retargeting strategies and also just be on the call with him. So let me know in the comments if you guys have seen Alaric before, if you know who he is, if you don't know who he is, if you want to scale on YouTube, if you're coming in live, if you're watching the replay, just let me know in the comments if you have any questions for him. But anyway, without further ado, welcome, man. Thank you for coming on. This is going to be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, Sean. I'm excited to dive into everything.
Yeah, so I threw a lot of different things that they can post in the comments, but yeah, man, I have to say, before we even got in the interview, I can tell how much energy you have on video, and I'm assuming that has come over time with getting on so many video ads, because now I'm trying to like play up to your level.
Oh, exactly. I mean, this is what I love. I was already talking to. I'm kind of got my setup over here in my apartment. Usually, I'm over in my office, and people are probably familiar to that kind of backdrop. But yeah, absolutely. I love hopping on podcasts, doing videos, and I think that's just the most natural and authentic way to see people and to interact with people and to learn from them, especially people in our online space experts. And so that's what I'm excited to dive into.
Yeah, and today, obviously, we're diving into something that's going to really help people who have high ticket offers, people who are selling courses, and really in that niche. So, we've done some trainings with people on the e-commerce side of YouTube ads, but today we really want to solely focus on the people who are selling high ticket and courses. So I know one thing that really intrigued me, Alaric, is the method the 3D targeting that you have the power of using on YouTube versus something like Facebook. And I think that's the first thing that pops into people's heads is like, man, why should I go YouTube instead of Facebook, especially if I'm a coach or a course creator?
And that's the secret sauce right there is our concept of 3D YouTube ads targeting. That's what I'm excited to talk about here. And, I don't want to hold things back. I want to actually kind of let you guys know what that strategy is and what it looks like. So that way, when you're watching this, you can really make an informed decision to say, listen, actually the way that that's being described over on YouTube sounds like somewhere that I want to put at least part of your budget into, right? I'm not saying you have to give up on Facebook. The problem with Facebook, right, is it seems to be up and down, kind of all over the place, right? Even very experienced Facebook marketers see it as a fickle friend sometimes when they're looking to scale or do some of these different things. And so with YouTube, what we've found is it has that intent-based marketing. Most people, though, on either platform, on both platforms, Facebook and Google, are just targeting in what I call two dimensions. They look at demographics, so they put in some demographics information, where somebody is. On Facebook, unfortunately, you can only put in zip code for income targeting. I mean, a couple of years ago or a few years ago, you used to have more income targeting, but now they just made it zip code, as I'm sure you know, Sean, right? But you have kind of this demographics. Then you have on Facebook kind of interest, affinities, what people like. And it can work well, and it does work well for a lot of people. But the problem is there's no intent. So people are just kind of scrolling through, they're looking at different pictures, and you have to kind of interrupt people's day. Whereas on YouTube, you have the other side, and where a lot of people start, and this is a good place to start, is they'll start with something, placement ads, right? So they'll choose a specific video. A lot of you watching this right now might also be familiar with this, right? A lot of the basic, education on YouTube just talks about this, but it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Right, is you'll create an ad and then you'll put it in front of very specific videos. You'll put in all the URLs of the videos you want to run in front of. Now, the problem there is it's very intent focused. So people are watching this video, but it's not that scalable. It's still two-dimensional, right? So it's just the specific video. And then once that video has been seen a lot of times, you have to kind of swap it out. You have to choose different placements. You can't really scale up. There's only so much. So what we've done is we've perfected the art of creating what I call 3D targeted YouTube ads that actually have 3 dimensions of targeting. And we'll talk about that triangle that allows you not only to pinpoint the perfect high ticket or course buyer, but also allows you to scale that advertisement up very efficiently because you actually have the ability to reach more people. It's not just a small placement. You actually have these audiences and these targeting options that can scale. So that's what I'm excited about, and that's what I want to dive into. If you want, Sean, I can kind of just dive into what that looks like.
Yeah, that'd be great. So me being a visual learner, I'm going to try to picture everything that I can. So yeah, let's just dive right in.
Awesome. Absolutely. And so if we talk about, if we really break down the 3D YouTube ads concept, it starts, with essentially like a triangle, right? The first component is demographics, right? Now, the important part to know about YouTube is you actually can go in and target people based on specific household income. This is incredible because I think a lot of people don't realize that you can actually go in and choose only top 10% or top 20% of actual income that person is earning according to Google. Now, obviously, maybe not actual, right? So I kind of use that, but it's based on what Google thinks their income is, not just the zip code they're in. So on Facebook, if you target that, it's notoriously bad. A lot of people don't even do it because it's only about the zip code. So if you live in a city, that has a higher, GDP in that city or whatever, then you're going to have a higher, it's going to be in that higher zip code, regardless of what that person's actual individual status is. Versus on YouTube, you're already starting with better demographics. I'll tell you right now, for us and our other high ticket clients, we'll typically only run at the top 30% of income earners on YouTube. And it's very accurate. It's scarily accurate too. It's crazy.
That's a great point. That's a really great granular tip. So target, you guys specifically for your services, target only people who make top 30%.
Yeah. And honestly, in some of my campaigns, I'll do top 10 and top 20%. Right. And it just depends on the campaign. The more layered it is, you'll want to target a little bit more of a range. But if you have a campaign that's really dialed in, you're really looking like, all right, I want to just get the top people from that, you could target top 10%. And that's also how you could target executives, CEOs, things like that, right? You target that top 10% income bracket. And so you're not only doing that, right? So that's just the tip of the iceberg. So now because this is demographics, you know where they live, they're in the United States, that they're in that higher income bracket so they can afford a high ticket service. Or if it's a course, we'd like to do top 50%, right? Because a lot of people don't realize that the top 50%, those are the people that have the ability to spend, right? So some people will leave on lower 50% with their campaigns, but the problem is it's across the whole United States. And so sometimes we live in a bubble. We don't really realize that the lower 50%, a lot of them don't have savings. Like there's these studies that are done. And so anyways, that's what you want to target. So you have the demographics. So now you know that they can afford a high ticket or a course service. Now you combine this with the videos that they're watching right now. So a lot of people, they just go out and they do placements. And unfortunately, there's kind of these, second rate kind of courses, stuff like that. Is really just like, kind of just tip of the iceberg that talk about placements. And that's a good place to start. But the problem is a lot of people think that's all YouTube is. That's not the case. You can target people based on keywords, based on topics, collections of videos, entire channel targeting. And so you can put that in. Let's say you have a certain keyword, right? So like how to get leads, how to get sales, how to grow my business. Business coaching is one, right? We use, I love targeting the keyword Facebook ads, right? Not YouTube ads, but Facebook ads. So people are watching videos about Facebook ads and I pop up talking about why YouTube ads, are going to be what they want to do. And so you have these different keywords and that's great. But I think the problem when people discover keywords is they'll just do the demographic, or maybe they won't even know that the top income and they'll just do keywords on their own. That's a little too broad, right? Because you don't know who that person is looking up, let's say Facebook ads or YouTube ads or whatever it is, or how to get leads or how to get sales or business coaching. You don't know who that person is. You have to add the secret. And this is the secret. And we talked about this, that I don't always reveal, especially, there's been a couple, and I did get into some of this on some more complex podcasts as well, but I'm going to go even deeper here. The thing that I love talking about, right, is there's this third component, and this is adding affinities, interests, and audience targeting to your YouTube ads. And a lot of people don't even know that's even possible, right? They just think it's placements, or then they realize that there's keywords, but you can actually layer these keywords and demographics with audiences, right? And so you go in and you can create custom affinity audiences based on characteristics that Google knows about an individual. You can literally put in keywords and build a custom affinity audience. Google has some pre-built ones as well. Some are good, some are not as good. You have to be a little careful there. There's also in-market audiences, which is, Google has audiences with people that are in the market for business services, in the market for consulting, in the market for advertising and marketing services, right? So you take some of these in-market audiences and now combine it with the keywords, combine it with the income bracket. There you go. You get the perfect person. And so now, if you want to go further down the rabbit hole, and Sean, obviously this is kind of your interview to lead here, but do you want me to go a little bit deeper and talk about some Jedi tricks that you can do with some of this?
So a lot of people in the group are actually really high 6-figure, 7-figure earners. So they are, they might have made a lot of money on Facebook ads, maybe looking to get into YouTube, haven't seen a lot of success to really pull them into that platform yet. So it'd be really good to really dive deep on some of the things that you're doing right now.
Absolutely. And that's honestly the biggest problem. And I'll reiterate this before I get into some of these really cool tactics I love diving into. The biggest problem is people go one of two directions when they start advertising on YouTube. And people don't know that. It's not your fault if you've done this, right? But that's why I'm here to help you figure out the best way. Because people will go one direction where they'll go very, very specific. So they'll just do placements. They'll get a lot of different specific videos. And it works great at a small scale. And then they're like, then they leave and they're like, YouTube can't scale, right? Which is obviously not the case. It's just that they're only doing these placements.
Do you know what that small scale is? So if you can give me some, if you can give them some context, like what's small scale? Like, are we talking $1,000 a day, or are we talking way less than that?
So that's the problem with placements. Honestly, placements, not YouTube. And I'll talk about YouTube in a second. Placements. So don't get me wrong, right? Don't clip the quote here, but the placements typically, people have trouble scaling over like $100 a day, depending. I mean, you can have a lot of placements, but that's a problem. And so that's where people come in. They're like, what's going on? It's because if you have a whole collection of videos, if they're very specific videos. Now, if you're doing like tons and tons of different videos, if you're in the weight loss niche, you're not going to get limited there. But if you're like, in business, kind of like you're grabbing all the ClickFunnels videos that you can find, all the funnel videos, there's only so many views those videos are specifically getting. So you have to target people in a different way. And so when you do this 3D targeting, right, that we're going to talk about, and we're already talking about, we're going to dive a little deeper, where you have the demographics, then you have the keywords, and you have the topics. And the other problem people do is they'll do keywords and topics, and they have a lot of targeting. It's very broad. They run into the opposite problem. It's not narrow enough that they're not getting as good results as they want, because now they're just targeting this big topic or this keyword, without any indication of who that person is. That's why I got to layer with audiences that have somebody who is, a business owner. You could put in a custom affinity audience where you could literally put ClickFunnels, Kajabi, Kartra, some of these different terms, right? That's going to describe this person. We'll get a little bit even more, excited, and some Jedi tricks. You could do that too. But honestly, that's where you can create this combination. And so just to talk about scale, so we're spending thousands of dollars a day on YouTube, bringing in people. Obviously, we've really scaled our business up. But we also have other people who are doing spending even more than we are. So actually, it's really exciting. We've got a client right now in the high ticket space. With this specific result, he's done other testimonials for us. With this specific result, he wants to remain anonymous. But this particular person did over $1 million, $1,013 last month.
Oh, wow. And
he only spent $202,600 on his YouTube ads with a high ticket, kind of for the early, business kind of development, kind of business creation area. And it's incredible the scale that you can get to. And now the conversation is let's scale that even more.
So you're saying that just to get those numbers clear, he basically had a 5x ROI on around $200,000 in spend last month.
Yeah, and that's where the majority of things are coming from. I'm not going to say it's 100% YouTube that he is, like he's doing retargeting in different areas too, but that's his main driver of the leads that are coming through. And so just for full transparency, he has other stuff. I'll figure out the exact details for obviously the next thing that I hop on, but that's the driver of that growth. And so you can just kind of take a look if that's like the biggest course of where these leads are coming from. And we're talking on average, like $6 leads coming in through here. So it's really great when you kind of break these numbers down, and that's cash collected too, which is the crazy part. So insane. Obviously, I'm still working on getting to that point myself. But, like with us, like I'm spending, multiple thousands of dollars a day. And, I have over 40 campaigns that are limited by budget.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's nuts. And so we have some people coming on here and they're like, I've seen his YouTube ads. And then there's somebody's like, oh, I want to hire you. So that's good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I book a call. Happy to help you.
So, so let's dive deeper a little bit into just kind of the three phases. So the question that I had was, are there some, you were talking about, there might be some bad affinities too. It's like some mistakes you might make with choosing like certain affinities or using certain affinities, because that's essentially one stage, right? So you have demographics and then affinity being like interests, correct? Yeah. And then the final one just being search is not part of affinity, correct?
So that's keywords. So that's like what somebody has actually typed into the search bar or is tagged with a video. So typically what we're talking about is in-stream ads, which is videos that appear in front of another video on YouTube. There is another type of ad that pops up kind of in search results, and alongside those are discovery ads. We're going to get to this. Those are incredible for retargeting. And also lead nurturing. It's not just retargeting, it's also nurturing people and channel building if you want to do that as well, kind of like branding. Front end though, top of funnel, it's always going to be best to do in-stream because those are the ones where you can actually, optimize for conversions. It's in front of a video. It has more of a clear direct call to action off of YouTube. And so basically though, to answer your question, you're referring to keywords, which is keywords either apply to what they've searched on YouTube and then they landed on a video, or the tags that video has, right? So a video can be tagged with certain things or have certain things in the description or in the title that trigger a tag so that you're running a video in front of that. So really simple example is that if you have, let's say you're selling something for weight loss or whatever, if you have one of the tags of a video is how to lose weight, it might be a video on the best workout, routine tips of, how to lose weight or nutrition or whatever. And then you run your ad in front of videos that have the keyword weight loss or how to lose weight, and you hit your ad in front of that video. But then because you're in the top income bracket, you're targeting top 30% of income earners, so they have money to invest in like a higher end, fitness coaching. And then you also have, maybe you want to work with business professionals who are looking for fitness, coaching because you really resonate with them or whatever. And we've had clients who are like that, right? They wanted to reach business professionals in an income bracket that are looking to pay, thousands of dollars for fitness coaching, right? Because they know that that's the perfect mold. You also layer it with an affinity that they are business professionals, that they are, they basically go to websites that have to do with business. You could even target, let's say you wanted to just reach people who are into ClickFunnels and they're trying to get leads, and you could basically people who are, have that as an affinity and they're looking up how to get leads and they're in an income bracket. Boom, you got a perfect triangle right there. And that's the type of thing that I do too. If you want, there are some really secret kind of, Jedi tricks that you can do on the affinity targeting. I haven't really talked about as much on some of the other podcasts. I can get into a little bit of that as well. Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's dive in. Awesome. And so one of the really cool ones that you could do is something called URL affinity targeting. And this is what, I've actually called this, our industry secret, because it really is. There's people, at literally the top, not even in the online like internet marketing kind of area, like people who are, part of these big companies. I remember I was having a conversation with, the head of marketing, kind of at like like a mattress company. They were kind of doing stuff like this too. And so anyways, this is URL affinity targeting, where you can actually go in and specifically target people based on URLs and websites that they have been on the past, or websites that are similar to ones they visited in the past. So you can literally put ClickFunnels.com in a URL affinity targeting and get people who either been to ClickFunnels.com or have been to similar sites, maybe like Kartra, EverWebinar, based on the Google Analytics data. Google Analytics is on like half the websites out there, right? So if they have all of this data about you, they can tell, okay, you've been to this site or you've been to similar sites, and they can go in and they can say, okay, they're going to take this person, they're going to put it all in a bundle. So now you have people that have been to ClickFunnels or have been to similar sites, combined with the fact that they're looking up how to get leads and they're in a top income bracket. That's your perfect high ticket buyer right there.
That's amazing. And just being on this call for not even 20 minutes yet, I can already tell how much targeting ability that you have to really find the perfect client or customer. And that's something I've seen quite a few people struggle with on Facebook, especially now that, how we were running ads in 2015, totally different the amount of options that you had then than you do now. And, obviously specifically in the high ticket space, I see this being like the opportunity to really also connect with somebody on video, which obviously you can do on Facebook, but you're doing it in a way where they're already looking for that. They already have intent to solve a problem. And I love that, because for everybody that knows, we talk a lot about breakthrough advertising and a lot about the different awareness levels. When people are trying to solve their problem, you already got them halfway through the buyer journey. So between that and actually closing, it's a lot shorter. So that's why I see like YouTube traffic and YouTube ads being so powerful.
Exactly. And if you just talk about the effects, a lot of us are familiar with, webinars, and obviously, that's what we're all like, part of kind of this online area, right? And if you just look at the metrics between us and our clients, the average show up rate on a webinar is between 50 and 60%. Off of YouTube on an every hour on the hour. Now, maybe that was the case like for, like 3-4 years ago, right, on Facebook. But these days I talk with people that are excited to get, 25, 30%, right? And then they're trying to get people on the replay, or trying to, retarget people, or do like the nurturing, like, retarget the people, watch a little bit of the video or whatever. But we're still like over on YouTube because people have intent and they're already watching a video platform. Over half of those people are then immediately going and watching the webinar. And on my personal webinar, it's about 60% show up rate. And our average watch time on an hour and 8-minute long webinar is 53 minutes. Where our offer to book a call comes in at 45 minutes. It's incredible. And it's because people are on YouTube to learn and watch videos, and they're in a learner's mindset. And then you get them when they're in the learner's mindset, you give them a couple of golden nuggets, right? You get them excited, and then they take that next step and they get on and they get on the webinar, or they register for the webinar, and they're actually anticipating it because they've already heard you talk about it, right? Especially if you're running like just a Facebook like image ad, right? You're not actually expressing yourself that well, getting out there to people. And even a video version of a Facebook ad, a lot of the heavy lifting is just the text. The audio is off by default. If you look at the watch times, they're not that great, even on high performing ads. And so people might be going in a little more blind than they are if they've actually watched a YouTube video, heard what you're saying, it's resonating, and that's the reason they click and sign up.
So, there was something that I wanted to ask you that somewhere halfway through there, because I was just curious about just kind of the retargeting strategy. I know you touched on it a little bit, and I know we kind of talked about it in the beginning, but I really want to dive deep into that too, because you were saying in the beginning, you don't necessarily have to leave Facebook. If you're running traffic on Facebook and you're doing it successfully, you don't have to necessarily leave it. You can supplement what you're doing on Facebook with YouTube. And what kind of piqued my interest was the retargeting strategy that you just talked about. So can we talk a little bit about how that's working and what you guys are doing right now?
Oh, absolutely. So what I will say is YouTube retargeting is literally the best deal in advertising right now. That's objective too. I obviously, like, on some things, I am biased, but I'm going to be revealing and telling you guys why everything is what it is, right? So kind of talking about the facts behind it. But when you talk about YouTube retargeting, everybody needs to be at least on that. YouTube cold traffic is absolutely incredible. That's what we're talking about. That's what we just talked about. We talked about how to get it so that you're finding, that perfect triangle, right? That perfect person, the 3D YouTube ads. When it comes to retargeting, there's one really important concept that everybody needs to understand first. With a YouTube ad, and this is cold traffic or otherwise, you're only paying if somebody watches 30 seconds or more of your ad, right? So if somebody skips the ad, then you're not even paying for it, up until 30 seconds. So between 5 and 29 seconds, they skip the ad, you don't pay a single penny. Now on cold traffic, that's incredible, right? Because you're running the ad, you want to pull the right person in with a hook. You get them, capture their attention, push the wrong person away, get the wrong person to skip. You don't pay for them. You only pay for the people that are interested, and then obviously go through the rest of the funnel. But here's the thing: a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people know that. A lot of people don't know the same rules apply for your retargeting ads. Just think about what that means for a second. You only pay for your retargeting ads if somebody actually watches 30 seconds of that ad. It's incredible. And so you could get in front of people again and again and again, and they might see you oftentimes on YouTube. I hear people tell me all the time, when I went to Funnel Hacking Live, a few months ago, it feels like forever ago now, but a few months ago, right? When I went there, people were just like, I see you all the time. Like, my girlfriend's asking like who you are, like who's this guy that pops up on the TV and, or on the computer or whatever. And, and they're like, you must be paying a fortune for that. And obviously I am spending a good deal on YouTube ads, of course, right, as I scale my business. But I'm honestly not spending as much as they think I'm spending because, at least on the retargeting side, because I'm only paying if they watch 30 seconds. So I asked, well, how many times do you actually watch more than 30 seconds of that ad? And, maybe like half a dozen to a dozen times. It's not the same ad, by the way. It's like, I'm running over 20 different retargeting ads. You don't need to be that complicated. You just start with one and then you go from there. But, if they've seen me literally hundreds of times, right? They skipped it. I'm top of mind again and again and again, but I've only paid for the 12 times they've watched 30 seconds. And maybe that last time that they watch the 30 seconds can be the same time they're like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I've heard enough. I'm going to book a call. So that's why YouTube retargeting is so powerful. And people talk about it on Facebook. They're like, oh, should I retarget for 30 days or 90 days or, 180? I retarget forever. I will retarget the entire list. Now, some people do drop off with certain things, but for the most part, it should be the whole, it's basically, I want to retarget people. If they've at least watched the webinar, I'm going to keep hitting them until they book a call.
So you are using as a vehicle to push people to from YouTube is you're pushing people to a webinar. Is there any other, do you ever book or send retargeting traffic straight to a call? Is there can you target people who have watched a large majority of your webinar? How granular can we actually get on YouTube?
Oh, you can get really granular. Honestly, for retargeting though, I like just to retarget all the collective people that have registered for the webinar. And because retargeting is so cost effective on YouTube, I could just retarget that entire group and get incredible results that way. And the reason for that is I'm only paying if they watch 30 seconds. So if they're not interested, they're going to click skip, which is great, right? And then you can also cap the view frequency too. So that's the thing. People are like, Alaric, you're not doing any frequency capping or anything like that. I am. I'm only capping view frequency, not impression frequency. So I could show up 100 times and then I'll cap it to usually 2 views. So not 1, but 2 views for the same video. So if they watch that same video, I won't let them watch it more than twice. But that's a view that I paid for more than 30 seconds. So people think that there's no view capping because they see the impression again and again and again, and they click skip. But I don't pay for that. So I don't care how many times that shows up, essentially.
So a view is counted once it lasts over 30 seconds.
Exactly. Before that, it's an impression. And so you can get people again and again and only pay for that actual 30-second view.
And I'd like to get your take a little bit on the creative side, as far as what goes in the heads, because we talk a lot about copy here. We talk about a lot about scripts and marketing and the specific things that go inside of creative. So I know because you're not spending anything for the first 30 seconds, there's going to be something unique going on in that small time frame. So, and I think it's 5 seconds, right? After 5 seconds, you can skip it. So are there some strategies that you use to kind of vet out the wrong people so you don't have to pay for them?
Absolutely. 100%. So obviously the first line of defense is your targeting, even though that's not the first thing you do. You want to create the ad first, but your targeting is the first line of defense. Top income bracket. Because the other thing too is with my retargeting, it works better because I know that I've also filtered the people I allow in, right? So you want to make sure that these are people that are actually potentially going to buy, they're actually interested, right? And so that's your first line of defense. But when it comes to the video, you want to have a hook, pull the right person and push the wrong person away. I'll give you a great example of, I'll give you a couple examples, right? One hook that I've done is so it pulls people in by intrigue, and then also, newness, and it pushes people away by jargon and language. So here's one of the hooks. This was my top performing hook for a long time. I kind of have shifted a little bit. I still use this one and another one that I'm going to say in a second. But what if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic and send it directly into your own funnel using YouTube video ads? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So you see how it gets people excited, has an intrigue. They're like, okay, I can hijack other people's traffic. The whole concept is, putting your ad in front of another video, and get it into my own funnel. But listen, like, if you don't know what a funnel is, traffic, if you don't know what these things are, right? And you're like a business owner that accidentally got it into the area, you're going to click skip on the ad, and then you're gone. And that's what I want, because I don't want to talk to people that don't understand that jargon. So there's more thought that goes into these scripts. That's what we do with our clients too. We have an in-house copywriter that goes in and works with them to craft their scripts, go point by point exactly what it is. It's very thought out how our hooks work, and we'll test multiple hooks. So usually like 4 or 5 different hooks is what our copywriter will help our clients with. But basically, another example of a hook is kind of an us versus them and polarizing hook, which is something I've been doing more. Like, I'm not naturally a polarizing person, but I've learned with marketing, obviously, it's really important. It's like it's a concept that's really valuable. And so one other video simply starts, YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why that's the case. Now, if you don't want to hear that, you're going to click skip. But if you're like, wait a second, what is he saying? Then you're going to watch it, and then I have you. And then that's the next step.
That's really powerful. So nobody has ever shared before to using intrigue. They've shared using intrigue, but not using jargon to actually sway people away, so you don't have to pay for them. Because funnels, when you say hijack, it's going to really push away certain people.
Yep.
And that's powerful. So I always say, write down keywords or phrases that your audience uses that might not necessarily be used by their mothers. So, so go ahead and when you're crafting your message, or when you're crafting your creative, like Alaric says, just think of something that you can say that would throw off everybody else.
Yeah.
It's cool. So I think we left an open loop there when it came to the retargeting, because I wanted to get into the script a little bit, because that's really important, and people feel uncomfortable, like, I'm not gonna be able to create a good video ad, like I don't have expensive equipment and stuff like that. So
I love that question too, because that's the biggest thing is, like, people, what I found is it's not the video that is the problem that has people getting into things. It's how hard not how hard the video is, it's how hard they think it is. Right. And so that's where people run into this issue where they're like, oh, it's, I have to do this huge production thing, and they worry about making it look super polished, but you don't need a very polished video. Because think about it this way, right? What have we been accustomed to tuning out almost our entire lives, right? It is overly produced commercials. See overly produced commercial on TV, you tune it out, right? If it's during, while you're watching something, you go and get food, right? You tune these things out. Overly produced can also feel a little bit corny, right? If it doesn't land perfectly, it can feel a little bit weird. If you have a green screen, you either have to do that perfect or it looks bad, right? If you have these different things, versus if you are natural and authentic and yourself and you're an expert and you're on camera, that is what's going to get people excited to hear what you have to say, because you get on camera and you could film an incredible video with an iPhone and a gimbal. Now we have many stories like this now, but I remember, like early on, like one of our, kind of breakout successes, we had a guy selling an Amazon course, right? $9.97 Amazon course. He walked down, the beach with his iPhone with a gimbal. He was recording the video. Talking to his whole thing was, doing kind of the wholesale, like basically the wholesale arbitrage, right? So you buy like kind of wholesale prices, you arbitrage it on Amazon. Anybody can do it instead of doing complicated like private label. And so you walking down the beach, recording the video, talking about how would you like to sell name brand products. Turned out great. There are a couple of mistakes in there that, and it was very natural, but it was authentic. And so I remember we were reviewing it the first time. And he thought he was going to have to refilm it with like a better camera, all this different stuff. He's like, this is just going to be the draft video. We put that video up, and literally the first month, and he, it was around, 20, 30,000, like before that, kind of Facebook, some organic YouTube. First month, $122,000 in sales.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
That video walking down the beach, and that same video over the next 90 days did over $500,000 in sales. And actually that video, has done, millions of dollars in sales. And obviously there's different videos. I'm trying to figure out when that was, but millions of dollars in sales of that with YouTube ads, and at least $1 million or at that $500,000 with that one video before even swapping it out, which is incredible. And so it's just one of those things, and it's not just one person. It's a lot of different people. Even up until literally this December, I was still using an iPhone and a gimbal to show people, like, I practice what I preach. Now I have like a videographer that help with it too, but I'm still keeping it natural, right? I have the natural camera movements. It's not like some rig. It's not a green screen. It's me there showing, it's still switching over to my screen. I have, a monitor, a TV monitor up. And so it's being authentic and getting people excited about, what you have to offer, right? And so it's that hook. So you pull in the right person, push the wrong person away. Then the next component is educate. This is what a lot of people leave out, right? One of the biggest problems with the video side is people will just create this 30 or 60-second ad, and they'll think, okay, this is great. Like it'll basically just be, a hook, like, become one of the hooks that I said, and then it'll be like, okay, then go sign up for my webinar and I'll show you more. I'll teach you how that works. But there's no substance. And so then people realize that they're wondering, like, why is this not working? Well, the reason it's not working is people go to YouTube to learn. You need to show them that you're an expert, give them golden nuggets and pieces of value in the ad itself. So we found the best ads that work are typically going to be between 3 and 5 minutes long, right? So it's a longer form ad where you're actually providing a tangible amount of value, giving what we call golden nuggets in the ad, and then teasing the handful of gold you have on the webinar, and then of course, the pot of gold in the phone call and sale. And so that's basically how you can really get people and educate and get them to take action. And then you just have a call to action at the end of the video. That's really simple. It's just making it stupid simple. What's the next step? Okay, from here you're going to go ahead, click the button right here at the bottom left. Then you get to a page that looks like this. Go ahead and register, and walking them through what that next steps are to take action. So it's hook, educate, call to action. The big thing people miss out on, though, is the educate.
That's awesome. And 3 to 5 minutes. I just want to reiterate that 3 to 5 minutes. The educate part is really important, and something that most people miss is because and it kind of foreshadows almost the webinar itself. And I always like to go through the funnel backwards. So you got to have, you got to know what's happening in the webinar. You got to know what you're talking about. And then you can bring some fascinations into that ad and share just little tips that can also get, almost be, in a sense, teasers for the webinar, but also create that education and value. That's awesome. Exactly.
Cool,
man. So now that we've probably teased it enough, let's get to the retargeting strategy that we've been talking about since the beginning.
Absolutely. So this is one of my favorite parts, and honestly, this is something that I have realized. I've been doing this for a long time, but this is something that we're actually teaching more and more now to our clients, and we're building out in our programs and helping people with, because it is essential to have great retargeting and systems. And I call it our YouTube retargeting machine. Now, we also have other platforms built into that as well. So you hit people from every angle. You're really omnipresent. But on YouTube, there's such powerful elements that you can have to your retargeting. So you can actually retarget people. Like I said, again and again on the in-stream ad, that's the ad that pops up in front of people. You only pay if they watch more than 30 seconds of it. And that means that you can just keep showing up again and again. Now, we have 5 different types of ads that will run here, right? And then in each section, we have different, like multiple different videos. So you have kind of the classic, YouTube retargeting ad, right? Which is, you've already seen the webinar where we showed you how you can use YouTube ads, get leads and sales. In this video, I want to show you what's really possible. Let me show you some results, and then we'll talk about, okay, David Emmons did this, and like 4 or 5 5x ROAS, $2,000 a day, and you're selling his course. And then you have this other one, right? You have like different examples and testimonials. And then you'd be like, all right, now go ahead and book a call, and we're going to walk you through exactly how this works. That's kind of the standard testimonial, or not testimonial, that's the standard retargeting ad. But then you can take it to another level, right? What if you kind of created, I call it like, it's almost like the Tide Pod commercial concept. You probably remember this, Sean, right? Like, it's a couple of years, maybe even more than that now. Like maybe 2-3 years ago, Tide Pod, like it was like a joke. Like you didn't know when it was going to be a Tide commercial on the Super Bowl,
Yep.
right? It was like this ad, and then halfway through, it's like, they had you in the first half, and then there's a Tide commercial. So you can take your testimonial videos, and they're kind of like that. It's somebody else, it's not you, just a straight up testimonial that you're running on YouTube. People can't see who uploaded this video. It's just appearing in front of their video. It just appears in front of them. And now they're seeing this video, and all of a sudden, it's somebody talking about, like, oh yeah, I'm getting 4 to 5x ROAS, spending $3,000 a day on YouTube. You could do the math. Like that's like Matt, one of our testimonials. That's a great one to run. And then he's like, and I'd like to thank my good buddy Alaric, who's the one who helped me do this on YouTube, and then it gets into the program. And it's like one of those things where it doesn't say me at the beginning, so people start watching, they're not sure what the ad is. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, this is another Alaric ad, And so it creates, I call it the Tide Pod effect, right? Because you can run these testimonials and people will start watching them because they're not even sure what it is. So think about it. Like, when's the last time you saw just a random testimonial pop up on YouTube before you're watching a video, that's not like, doesn't feel like a very produced kind of ad or even an ad that we're talking about, like a cold traffic ad. Because I wouldn't run that. You wouldn't run that as cold traffic, but as retargeting catches people off guard. And then they're talking about that person that they watched the webinar about, and they're like, oh yes, that's that person. Now they're getting into it. Then you could take it to another level, right? And this is a concept, and actually I'll get to this in a second, right? Because this is my favorite one. So there's a couple other ones you could do. You could do a double opt-in where you can get people to sign up for another training. We do this. So we have a webinar that we're running most of our traffic to, and then we have a warm traffic audience. Like, let's say you've watched the webinar, but you haven't booked a call. Or even if you haven't watched the webinar, we'll send people to our VSL, which is YouTube Ads for high ticket sales. So specifically for high ticket to see it. And it's like a 22-minute VSL, like no fluff training to see if their objection is, I don't want to sit through an hour webinar, we'll get them to watch the VSL, right? So you can get like a double opt-in kind of retargeting, like especially for people that haven't watched the whole thing. And then you could also do, there's other ways to do content retargeting too. That's kind of classic, right? So where you're teaching a concept, you're like, I'm going to show you how this particular concept works. And then at the end, you book a call. But there's another one. And this is why I wanted to have this one at the end, because I love this. This has to do with testimonials that works incredibly well. It's called a testimonial supercut. So once you have a big page of testimonials, I love looking at, my page of testimonials, kind of scrolling through. And I remember I had somebody tell me, your testimonial page is like a mile long. And I'm like, well, that's the point, that's the point. But anyways, so we have so many videos now that I have, and we have an editor. And so I asked my editor, like, hey, can we just take all of these videos and distill it into a video, into like a master supercut? And that's what they did. They created a supercut of all of this content. And it's basically all of these different testimonials, one after another. And the first version I remember was 6 minutes. Then I had them updated at 8 minutes. Then 10 minutes. Now it's an 11-minute video, and it's just cutting to tons of different people. And it's not even like staying with them for a long time. It's like 5 seconds of one person, 5 seconds, and again and again. It's not all different people throughout the video. So we'll loop back to people who were there before, maybe giving different quotes. But it's just, it's quote after quote nonstop for 11 minutes. And the whole purpose of that is I want people to be like, okay, I get the point. They know what they're doing. Because the minute that they say that, you've won. Because, and it's not even like a winning game, because I know that's the thing with sales and with everything, right? Like I know the results that I can get for people based on the client results. It's translating that trust to somebody. And so if they watch a video and they come to the conclusion on their own, when they see the testimonials all stacked up one after another, that, okay, yes, this is, all these different people from different walks of life getting different levels of results, different businesses are getting results that I can too. That's a super powerful retargeting ad, is the testimonial supercut.
And, I bet after that somebody watches that, they're not going to give you the objection, oh, let me talk to one of your past clients before.
Yeah, no, we almost never get that one. Yeah.
So, and the whole point of retargeting, let's see if I can get rid of all of the objections. So the sales is like, it's like lay down sales, right? I can hop on the phone. They're like, hey, I want to work with you. Just like this on the interview. It's like, I want to work with you, you know, like I want to get to that point where that's like my philosophy. I want to get to a point where my marketing is so good, the sales is unnecessary. And that's what's so cool about, YouTube ads, because you can really, I think we shared, what do we share? 4 or 5 different retargeting ad strategies. So I'm definitely,
and that's in-stream ads. So you can run discovery ads for podcasts, like a podcast like this. It's perfect to warm people up, to have them see the human side of you. And I love doing podcasts like this. Imagine you run that as what's called a discovery ad when you search or alongside a video. And they click on it, and it's like a 50-minute podcast, and then they watch that, you know. And so then you have that appear when they're scrolling through their YouTube home feed, and it's an ad. You've probably seen that, right? Where it's like, it feels like it's a natural video. It has a little ad, like yellow square next to it. It's not an in-stream ad, but it's a video that you click on. That's a discovery ad. Those aren't as good top of funnel. There's specific use cases for that, but in general, not what you want top of funnel. But bottom of funnel, it's phenomenal because it's just warming people up. You can do the same thing you could run all of your YouTube content as discovery ads and split test those.
Oh, wow. That's really powerful. So for anybody running podcasts or interviews like this, hey.
Yeah.
Start doing it. Also, I think it's important because you talked way back about how it's not a good thing to because when you can target specific channel placements that you can only kind of scale up to $100 a day, but it is powerful for people who aren't spending anything whatsoever on YouTube and just want to test out the waters and spend $100 a day, you know, and get to that point. So it's, you know, I asked the same question to somebody else who's running $1 million a month on YouTube. And what he said was, hey, if somebody's just getting started with advertising, it might actually be the very best because you can see some of the highest ROIs from those really specific placements. And I'm sure you experience the same thing.
Exactly. And that's what we tell some of our clients that come in that are looking at that smaller scale. What I will say is I love bringing clients who have maybe experimented with that. And I like to see our program as kind of that next step up. It's not, you know, you don't have to be spending millions of dollars. Honestly, you know, we have a lot of people who are spending $100 or $200 a day. But if you want to create ads that actually are scalable, that are targeted the way that we're talking about, that's when, you know, you start following these strategies, because that's the biggest disconnect I think people have is like they get these initial early results with the placements, and it's good. And we teach placements too. But the reason that you do want to set some of these up sooner rather than later, at least even just having it on the side and ready to scale, is these are the campaigns that are scalable that you can really build your business on. I'll give you one other example. We had somebody who was kind of in the social media marketing agency space, right? Where they had a coaching offer, you know, 5K offer, teaching people how to build a social media marketing agency, kind of, you know, classic kind of thing, right? And we had, they were getting $90 applications, right? So they're getting $90 applications. They had one particular campaign that was working really, really well, and it was at $250 a day. They brought on, I remember, you know, distinctly, right? They brought on another. Actually, no, I think they brought on 2 new advisors, and they're like, all right, we brought in 2 new advisors. You know, people taking sales, but we got these calendars, and we want to ramp this ad that's getting $90 applications at $250 a day. We want to ramp this up to $1,000 a day. Can we do this today? Now, normally, and I'm just like, here's the thing, YouTube ads, you can scale a lot more efficiently than Facebook. But even with that, I'm going to be a little more conservative. I'm going to say, all right, well, let's actually, by the way, when I say my conservative scaling, people on Facebook are like, their jaws are going to drop, because I'm going to say conservatively, we would go to 500 from 250 to 500. That's doubling, right? I'm saying this is the conservative way to do it, to 500 and then wait like 3 days and then go to either 750 or 1,000, depending on how it does at 500. That's typically what I would do. But still, that's like scaling 4x in like 7 days is what I'm talking about. That's conservative on YouTube. Like, you know, forget it on Facebook, you know, like you're praying to the algorithm gods at that point. But anyways, but he's like, no, listen, I'll accept full responsibility. I just want to scale this up. I know it's going to work. You said it's super scale. I'm like, I'm a little nervous at this point too. This was like, you know, over a year ago. And I'm like, all right, well, let's do it. Let's bump that up. And we bumped it up to $1,000. I remember just thinking, I was getting on a flight. I was flying out to Nashville. And I remember by the time the flight landed, I was checking in at the ads and I'm like, oh, this is still tracking really well. By the end of the day, they had gotten for $950 spent. They'd gotten 9 calls, a little bit over, about $105 a call. And then right then the next day, it was right back to $90 per application coming in from that campaign, now at $1,000 a day. Wow. Filling up that new calendar. Yeah. So again, I wouldn't advise going to 250 to 1,000. I would be a little more conservative. Normally, I would like to plan it out over the course of a few days, but it's possible. You do that, and that just talks to the scalability of the way we're setting up these campaigns.
That's really powerful. And I had no idea up until this moment speaking with you that you could scale at that level on YouTube so quickly. Because people on Facebook could just assume, all right, I'll spend $100. If it starts working, I'll just spend 1,000. And for context, for anybody who didn't fully grasp that, they took somebody who's spending, $7,500 a month to spending $30,000 a month in a day. So with that, the algorithm on Facebook would, you'd have all sorts of problems, as many of the experts that I've on here would say. But also at the same time, I like how you kind of talked about, spending $3,000 a month isn't necessarily terrible, or $100 a day isn't terrible. Obviously, you want to work with people that are spending more. But let's look at it, right? If you have a program that's $5,000 and you're not even spending the cost of one sale a month, you're not really setting yourself up to grow. Obviously, you have to be in a mindset of growth. And to me, if your program's 5,000, you should be spending 2-3x at least. Pretty within 30, 60 days. So you want to have the right support there. And that kind of just leads me to where is the best place that people can kind of learn about you and what you do and how you help people with YouTube ads.
Absolutely. So I actually put together a page with some free gifts. I didn't want to just give one away, so I've got multiple gifts on that page. If you go to adoutreach.com, that's ADOUTREACH, adoutreach.com/gift. You'll see that I have a little video kind of thanking you for watching the podcast. And then underneath it, I have a link to our webinar on how you can run these YouTube ads. And by the way, with an average view length of 53 minutes, I'm providing value. People don't just stick around if it's not valuable, right? So it's providing a lot of value, taking you under the hood of campaigns, showing you exactly what it is, how it works. We also have a link to our high ticket YouTube ads, or YouTube ads for high ticket sales training, how that works. And the other great way is, obviously I'm streaming here in a group as well. I have a group myself, YouTube Ads for Entrepreneurs. I'm constantly posting trainings, value, providing it there. I've got lots of different posts that you can comment on and get some free trainings to take a look at. And then obviously, if you guys are ready, you can feel free to book a call at adoutreach.com/apply. And I'd love to help you guys scale up YouTube ads.
Sweet, man. Well, thanks so much for your time. Again, I'll put those links in the comments so everybody knows where to go. I'm going to get some notes done as long as everybody has enough interest. We shared a lot of stuff, and it's really hard even for me to kind of just grasp it all at once. So it's good to have it on a piece of paper. If I'm running YouTube ads, I want to have the notes that we just talked about on this interview. So if you guys want the notes, if you're watching all the way this far, just comment notes below. We'll also get those to you. And thanks again, man. I really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Sean. This was
all right. It was. All right, man. Well, peace out for now. See you guys.
Awesome.